Sex, money, and fighting. Here are 3 easy steps to be a master in all these domains. You too can have everything you want in life. We're just kidding, that's not what this channel is about. This is actually more of a self-development and spiritual channel. The very fact that I'm going to put that in the intro and in the title is going to, you'll see, get way more clicks than my average video. And also, look at this. I'm animated. I'm acting all cool. I'm not being my soft monotone voice all the time. This is me being excited. Okay? So here's the thing. I really hate to say this, but a lot of people are just monkeys. They really they get into, and they stay in, their lower resonant states, you know? And hey, it's what it is. That's people. What do you do with this? Look, do I go into a tangent about how those things aren't worth it? Don't focus on those in life. Those things are not your higher purpose. They're not your truly developed self. All right, first of all, no one wants to hear that. But it's true. And here's the thing. A lot of people, they talk about, self-improvement, development, spiritual ascension, all this stuff. And it's these people, they get so far away from what the average man is thinking and what is going through everyone's mind day to day. These things, to the average person, and to me, especially in the past, are the things you crave, the scarcity things. And honestly, you can't get further along in life until you at least try and pursue those things. For most people, I'm not saying everyone, you're gonna have to go through your base desires first and at least explore them. And what's gonna happen is you're going to end up realizing maybe a lot of it isn't nearly as important to you as you thought it was. It's so funny, all the billionaires, people like that you ask in interviews, you'll see how important is money to you, or would you do it again if you had to, start from zero or whatever. And they'll say something along the lines usually like, money's not everything, it's great and all, but there's other things in life. And then everyone rolls their eyes, they're like, yeah, sure, buddy, you're gonna say that now that you're rich. If you were poor again, you wouldn't think that way, which maybe is true some. But here's kind of the point. You're not gonna just in life read a book usually and then end up being done. You're not gonna just be able to sit and think for a long time and have it all figured out and then it truly be internalized. You're gonna have to go and live. You're gonna have to apply your wisdom you've read or something like that, right? You're gonna have to actually contend with the real world. And a part of that for many people is you're gonna have to actually go through those steps to actually get to the important parts in life, right? So what are those steps? Step number 1, most people start out when they're young. They want to get laid. They want to be able to go out and be with a pretty person, be with someone hot. And they want to, get that experience to, 1, have the social proof. See, I am all that. I am somebody who can, be good with the ladies, or get the alpha guy or the, cool guy. I can be the one who has that social status. And then also I'm being accepted by another person. I can end up, finally having that approval from another person who also sees me for who I really am and sees me as, worthwhile. And then you realize, over time, well, as I've actually, been with multiple people, or I've actually, had a very fantastic person in my life, and I made them my all, or I've fully experienced it. And you realize that those people, you're not as important to them as you wanted to be. You're never going to be good enough for them. They're always going to want you to be more, usually, or you're going to end up being disappointed in the feeling that you thought you would get out of it, and then you realize that there's actually other things that you're really wanting. It's maybe not the sex, it's not the the final fulfillment of a physical urge. It's really, a lot of times what people wanted was either just approval, which they could have gotten on their own. They could have figured out that they're internally good enough, which ironically would actually get you more people who would be attracted to you when you are in that congruent state, that state of I am enough, or I'm a 1 of 1, not a 1 out of 10. It's paradoxical. Same with the money. The money is a thing. People usually, as soon as they get a little older, like, I'm going to be rich. I'm going to have so much money, and I'm going to be Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. I'm going to have a yacht. I'm going to have all this stuff. And, hey, look, those are great. And, it's fun to enjoy that type of stuff. But here's what's funny. Usually when you end up getting money and you start getting on that path, and then you have the experiences, and this happened for me, you don't always need that much, or you don't always even get what you really wanted. For me, this is one, was freedom. I wanted to be able to have ability to do whatever I want, whenever I want. And there was a time in my life for about 2 years, I didn't work at all. I was semi-retired. I was making passive income. And I sat around all day and I read books. And then, I just was like, well, I really don't want a yacht. I really don't want a supercar. I mean, they're all right. But I'm just here. And now this isn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. I realized it's, having the stuff wasn't necessarily the thing. It was, for me, it was the freedom, and it allowed me to pursue other things. And then also I realized that when I was sitting around all day, it was very boring. I needed a mission. I needed a thing. And, ironically, I ended up creating problems for myself so that I could end up, going having something that I had to do. I kind of restarted my life, sold everything, moved, so that I could have something, and then, fighting or something like that, right? You want to prove you're better than all the other men, that you can conquer, that you can win, you are the best. That one's exciting. That one's very appealing too. Having the biggest muscles, getting a trophy or something like that in front of everybody. That's cool. It is. And, once you do all that, and let's say you win, finally, you get first place, and you did it, you realize there's always someone who's going to be better. I am just on top for a moment. There will be somebody who will come up from the younger ages who will do better than me. My body will give out. I can fight and fight and fight, and I can have that win and, and place in history or something like that. But time just goes on, and then you become irrelevant. And then you end up, you become old or something. I'm not old per se, but I did get those wins pretty quick and early on. And then after I did that, I ended up, I don't know, I thought maybe I could go even bigger, even higher, do even, more as far as being the best. And, sometimes I still have those desires, but at the same time, it's like, okay, cool. Now what? You end up winning, and you're like, what did I get out of it? And you realize it's not actually the trophy, or it's not actually the, the win in itself that was great. It was that time when you were in the training. It was that time when you were becoming more. You were challenging yourself. You're in 3 miles deep to a 5-mile run, and you're dying. You're physically just exhausted, and you wonder if you're ever going to make it, and you're going through that mental battle of pushing, and you're trying to be better, or you're trying to overcome. You're shaping who you are on the inside. That's the real prize. That really is the real prize. And as I've won, I've checked off the things in my life. I've made a list when I was young, and I ended up saying, I'm going to do all these hard things, and I'm going to be the fullest I can be. Every time I check off the list, I get to a point where then next it's like, well, now what? And I realize it's not the things. It's not the checking off the things. It's the time in between. And it's that struggle and that journey is really what has given me purpose and fulfilled me. Seeing where it takes me, the things I learn, and who it's made me become. That's really what, I think it's more about. And when I see someone highly successful or highly accomplished or something like that, I don't see a lot of people, they see him as just like, shallow pursuits or something like that. I see someone who's going through a war internally, who is fighting internal battles. And maybe they're not doing it the best way, but they're progressing, and that's what's good. So you may need to go through these steps or something like that, right? Just remember to be in the moment while you're doing them and what the true purpose is. It's about shaping your soul. It'll make you much better for it. It's an experience that is more valuable than reading or learning from other people's experiences, which can be very helpful. They will help you a lot in saving you time and getting to those places, but that's really what we're here for, is to align with truth and to get better, so to say. I know a lot of you won't like that getting better idea, as far as there's no point to it, but you can't just be in the cave in life. You have to go out of the cave, and you've got to become more so that your internal image can be stronger and better. Now, if you want to learn it about any of how to go through those struggles and improve and all that stuff, it's great. I can maybe help you try to learn about those things. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. We'll see what happens. But take that for what it is today, and have a good one. Bye.